Hey guys, I'm JC and today we're playing Tivit, Seller of Secrets. This is an artifact token deck that looks to maximize the mana and card advantage that Tivit generates, and then uses that advantage to control the board and close out the game. If you end up liking the deck, then make sure to stop by the channel where we have a deck tech as well as other gameplay videos showing how the deck was built as well as how it plays out. In addition, we also have a Discord group with the channel dedicated specifically to Tivit, so if you'd like to keep up to date with all of the changes that happen with the deck, then make sure to check out the link in the description below. Let's show our opponents that no matter how they vote, we always end up on top. Okay guys, let's see who we're playing today. We have Gishath, Sun's Avatar. We have Varchild, Betrayer of Keldor. And finally we have Amara, Soul of the Accord. Alright, we don't have to look at this opening hand long. It's a mulligan, so let's take it. Alright, this second hand looks a lot better. We have interaction, we have 3 sources of ramp and 2 lands, which is really great. And then Junkwinder is probably going to be really great against these decks. Gishath's going to want to attack, so is Varchild, and Amara will eventually want to attack as well. So I think this is a pretty strong keep. And Amara starts us off by playing a land for turn. And that's going to be it for them. We draw a Fellwar Stone for turn. So let's start by playing our Godless Shrine. We'll have it come into play tapped. And that's going to be it for us. Gishath just plays a tap land for turn, and then they pass it over. Varchild plays a land, but then they also pass the turn. Amara plays a land, and now they cast their commander, Amara, Soul of the Accord. Whenever Amara becomes tapped, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. But then they pass the turn to us. And we draw a land for turn, so we'll start by playing our Mystic Gate, and then we'll cast our Ornithopter of Paradise. Best to get it down now while it has Summoning Sickness, and if we play our other mana rocks, we will be able to use them for mana straight away. So just thinking for a future turn in case we need that mana. But otherwise, that's going to be it for us. Gishath plays a fetch land. They crack it right away. They find themselves a shock land. They have it come into play on tap, so they lose 2 life. And now they cast an Arcane Signet. And that is going to be it for them. Varchild plays a land. Next, they cast a Rite of Flame. Add 2 red mana, then add red for each card named Rite of Flame in each graveyard. And then they cast their commander, Varchild, Betrayer of Keldor. When Varchild deals combat damage to a player, that player creates that many 1/1 red survivor creature tokens. Survivors your opponents control can't block and they can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. And when Varchild leaves the battlefield, gain control of all survivors. And that's going to be it for them. Amara plays a land. And now they cast a Wayfaring Temple. Wayfaring Temple's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. And whenever Wayfaring Temple deals combat damage to a player, populate. Now they move to combat, and they swing their Amara towards us. That triggers Amara, so now they'll make a 1/1 soldier. We're going to take the damage here. And then Amara passes the turn. And we draw a Tezzeret. That's not a bad draw at all. So we'll start by playing our Fetid Heath. And next we'll cast our Dimir Signet. Then we'll follow that up with our Fellwar Stone. And finally we'll cast our Talisman of Hierarchy. And now we should be set up to cast our commander next turn. Gishath plays a land. Then they cast a land tax. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. And then they also cast an Odapek Huntmaster. Dinosaur spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and tap, target dinosaur gains haste until end of turn. But that is going to be it for the Gishath player. Varchild plays a land for turn. And then they cast a Price of Glory. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, if it's not that player's turn, destroy that land. Okay, well that's something we do have to think about because we do plan to interact on the stack occasionally. We're not a heavy control deck, but we certainly do aim to control the board. Now they do move to combat and Varchild is swinging towards the Gishath player. That just means that if we do plan to counter something, we have to really make sure we want to counter it because losing a land is going to be pretty painful. When damage goes through, that triggers Varchild. So now Gishath will make some survivors. And that is going to be it for them. Amara starts by playing a tap land for turn. Now they move to combat. Amara swings towards us, and the Wayfarer swings towards the Varchild player. Now that does trigger Amara, so they'll make another soldier token. We'll both have to take the damage. When damage goes through, that triggers the Wayfaring Temple. So now they will populate, making another soldier token. And that is going to be it for their turn. On our turn, we draw an Everflowing Chalice. Alright, well I think our plan is pretty simple. We need to get down our commander and start generating value. So let's cast Tivit. That goes through. When Tivit ETBs, it triggers his ability. We're going to choose to make 2 treasure tokens. Let's see what our opponents give us. Very likely to get 3 clues here. And we do. And I think we can just pass the turn from here. On Gishath's upkeep, land tax triggers. So we'll get to find up to 3 lands here. And they get themselves a plains, a forest, and a mountain. Next, they play a land for turn. Then they cast a Swords to Plowshares. And it's targeting the Wayfaring Temple. Exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. I'm a little surprised that that's the target. Honestly, I thought that might have been Tivit that would have taken the swords there. But they must be worried about the growing army that Amara has. Now they do move to combat. And it looks like they're sending all of the survivors towards the Amara player. But that's going to be it for their turn. Varchild plays a land. And now they cast a Bedlam. Creatures can't block. Okay, well this is certainly going to make the game interesting. At least that's coming down now while the other players don't have a big board set up, especially the Gishath player and the Amara player. Now they move to combat. Varchild swings towards us. We'll have to take the damage thanks to Bedlam. When damage goes through, that triggers Varchild, so we're going to make 3 survivors. But then they pass the turn. Amara plays the land. Now they cast a Divine Visitation. If 1 or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 White Angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. Very strong card in an Amara deck. Now they move to combat. They're swinging Amara towards the Varchild player. They send a soldier towards Gishath, another soldier as well, and the final one also goes towards Gishath. So our opponents are giving us a little breathing room here. Now when Amara does attack, she also makes a token. And that is a 4/4 Angel now. That damage will go through. And that is going to be it for the Amara player. Alright, well we've got to set ourselves up now this turn for becoming the potential threat. Once our opponents see this Junk Winder hit the table, I think the alarm bells are going to ring. We also draw a Caves of Koilos for turn. So we'll play that land. And now let's get down our Junk Winder. And at a discounted rate of 2 mana, that definitely feels good. Now we're going to move to combat. We'll send Tivit towards the Amara player. Damage goes through, that triggers Tivit. Once again, we're going to choose 2 treasures. When the token's ETB, that's going to trigger Junk Winder, so we're going to tap down Amara as our first target. We'll tap down the Angel as our second. The third can be Varchild. The fourth we'll throw at the Dinosaur player, and the fifth we'll just target at one of the lifelinking soldiers. Next, we're going to cast our Everflowing Chalice, and we're going to kick it 3 times. I don't want to get our Tezzeret down while there's still attackers that can get through and take it out. So let's just leave the turn there. On Gishath's upkeep, their land tax triggers, and they find themselves another 3 basics. They play a land for turn, and then they cast an Urza's Incubator. As it ETBs, choose a creature type. Creature spells of the chosen type cost 2 less to cast. No doubt they choose dinosaurs here. Now they move to combat. All the survivors are swinging towards Amara again. Not too sure why that's the case. Surely they'd be coming towards us, but hey, we're not going to complain. The damage goes through. And that is going to be it for their turn. Varchild starts by playing a Trinisphere. As long as Trinisphere is untapped, each spell that would cost less than 3 mana to cast costs 3 mana to cast. Well, not really a problem for us, considering we have so much mana available to us. But with nothing else to do, that's going to be the end of their turn. Amara starts by playing a tap land. Next, they cast a Dictate of Heliod. It has flash, and creatures you control get +2/+2. Well, luckily we have a Junk Winder in play, otherwise that damage could get out of hand pretty quickly. Now they do move to combat, and it looks like both of the soldiers are going towards the Gishath player. So Gishath and Amara can't take their eyes off each other, and it's definitely to our benefit. That damage goes through, and then they pass the turn. On their end step, however, we're going to crack 2 clues. The first gets us a Thran Dynamo, and the second a Talisman of Progress. Alright, I think we'll actually crack another clue here. I want to draw something a little more better. And the next one gets us a Victory Chimes. Okay, well that'll at least help us crack our clues a lot easier. So now let's move to our turn. And we draw a Displacer Kitten. That's a very powerful card in this deck. And we have quite a few non-creature spells in our hand. So what we'll do first is we'll move to combat. We'll send Tivit towards the Varchild player. And all the survivors towards Amara. And the Junk Winder can go towards the Gishath player. We'll spread the damage around. When damage goes through, that triggers Tivit. We're going to make 2 treasures. The tokens entering are going to trigger Junk Winder. So let's tap down our opponent's creatures once again. Okay, now we hit our second main phase. Let's cast our Displacer Kitten. And let's see just how much value we can generate from this. And it's going to be a lot. Now let's cast our Tezzeret. That triggers our Displacer Kitten. We're going to flick a Tivit. When Tivit ETBs, that triggers his ability. This time we're going to make clue tokens. When those tokens ETB, we're pretty much going to be able to tap down everything now, so let's do that. Tezzeret resolves. Now let's cast our Talisman of Progress. That triggers Displacer Kit, and we're going to flick a Tivit, and that actually causes the Varchild player to scoop, and the Gishath player as well. So I think those guys have seen enough. I mean, this is a lot of value here. This time we're going to make 2 treasures. And it looks like our last opponent scooped it up. Alright guys, well that is the game done. Let's go to the review and discuss what happened. Well, this game was a great demonstration of just how powerful Junkwinder can be in combination with Tivit. All of our opponents relied on going to the combat step to forward their game plan, and Junkwinder was able to effectively shut them down while allowing us to advance our board state. We also got to see that Tivit sometimes flies under the radar, even at times that it really shouldn't. At least for Magic Online, this may be because he was only made available recently, so players really haven't had a chance to see what this command is truly capable of. After games like this, that should change pretty quickly. Well, that's it for today's video. If you have a Tivit deck yourself, I'd love to hear if yours was initially underestimated and did that change after a few games. Until next time, guys.